It is even without a shred of doubt that in this world, some countries are richer than others, some are more peaceful than others, some are more influential than even those that colonized them. And I will never go without saying some countries are more captivatingly gorgeous than many others. Oh, I believe we're not here to analyze the level of beauty and pulchritude of countries, but we are here to talk about an essential election in one of this planet's most attractive places. We're moving to the Far East, to one of the world's most beautifully decorated and architecturally designed islands. An island geographically situated roughly 100 miles off the coast of southeast China on East China Sea. The Taiwanese presidential and legislative elections this Sunday, the 13th of January 2024, would be highly competitive and contested, with each presidential candidate holding significant support segments. The outcome hinges on key debates, campaign strategies, and potential unforeseen events. The candidates include the vice president, a guy named William Lai Chi-te from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, the DPP. There is also the new Taipei City Mayor, Hu Yu-e, from the main opposition party, the KMT. Former Taipei City Mayor Ko Wen-jae is also interested. One of the things that will dominate the elections, especially the presidential one, is the future of Taiwan, because the election garners substantial international interest due to its implications for regional stability and the US-China rivalry. To know more about what is currently happening there and how important the election is, especially to the citizens of this island, RUKAYYA ALFAZAZI NAMAIRAGE is here to spoon feed us. Well, I asked RUKAYYA if it's possible for foreigners like her living on the island for more than 2 decades to be able to vote there, and here is her answer.
No, they're not. You can be a foreigner that lived here for 50 years and you won't be able to vote, except if the foreigner has a Taiwan citizenship. That is the only way for them to vote.
There is a crucially significant issue that has been drawing the attention of the world, and that is the status of Taiwan. Is Taiwan an independent, autonomous country, or is it still part and parcel of China? First, let's have a listen to what Professor John Edward Phillips has to say about Taiwan.
Taiwan is legally part of China. It's a province in China.
But then, what are the young Taiwanese saying about the China-Taiwan relations? RUKAYYA ALFAZAZI NAMAIRAGE is here to educate us on this.
This depends on which Taiwanese you meet. If you meet the older generation, they prefer to be cordial with China, because at the end of the day, they know that they originate from China. They come from China. However, for the younger Taiwanese, they would say they want a free Taiwan. They want an independent Taiwan.
Here in this part of the country, and even in Nigeria as a whole, there are many young people who have lost faith and hope in democracy, so much so that they have grown a great deal of political apathy. Is it the same thing in Taiwan, RUKAYYA?
The young Taiwanese are quite democratic. So what they want is a free Taiwan. What they want is Taiwan to be independent. And I think some of them are interested. I wouldn't say all, but some of them are interested.
Before we go, let's have a listen to some historical backgrounds from Professor John Edward Phillips, American Emeritus Professor of History at HIROSAKI University.
Hi, my name is John Edward Phillips. I'm speaking to Umar Isa Dandago on his show Global Arena. I'm a retired professor of international society at HIROSAKI University in Japan, and I've been asked to comment on elections this year, particularly the election on Taiwan, which is more regionally important than I suppose it would be to most of Umar's audience, but let me try to explain it anyway, particularly the historical background. Taiwan is legally part of China. It's a province in China. From 1895 till 1945, the end of World War II, it was a Japanese colony. The Republic of China government fled to Taiwan after World War II when they were chased chased out by the Communist Revolution on China. That Republic of China government, and legally the government on Taiwan is the Republic of China. It's not the government of Taiwan. It actually controls small parts of other provinces besides Taiwan province too. It claims to be the legitimate government of China, and it has the same border disputes as the government in Beijing with India, Japan, Russia, and other countries with which China has border disputes. There were a huge number of refugees from the Communist Revolution who fled to Taiwan and who are a major part of the population on Taiwan. There was a Taiwan dance troupe tour that came through Japan recently and was heavily advertising on the internet as China before communism. They feel that they, in many ways, preserve traditional Chinese culture much better than the communist government on the mainland does. That said, the people of Taiwan have been growing apart from China, and by now the majority of people on Taiwan say they are not Chinese but Taiwanese. That's a relatively recent generational shift as the older generation keeps dying out. You have young people who do not remember when they were under the same government as the mainland, which actually was only for a few years, even though through almost the whole 19th century they were controlled by the Empire of China.
One interesting argument that has been drawing a lot of attention globally is the US interest in Taiwan. So, Professor John Edward Phillips, could the US defend Taiwan if China were to militarily enter the country?
I have a specific question about US interest in Taiwan. Specifically, would the US defend Taiwan? I want to emphasize here that I am not an official spokesman for the US government, or the government on Taiwan for that matter. I'm a scholar trying to be objective about the situation, and I in no way speak for anyone but myself. To get back to this question of strategic ambiguity, President W. Bush said that the U.S. would defend Taiwan. Biden more recently said the same thing. These were treated as gaffes at the time. Both Bush and Biden are prone to making gaffes that the State Department then has to walk back. But I think officially we don't really know, even though it's become more and more obvious the United States would defend the government on Taiwan, even if they won't say so.
Finally, Professor John Edward Phillips ends by reiterating that war is never in anybody's interest.
I don't think war is really in anybody's interest, and preventing wars is really not just in the United States' interest, but in everyone's interest around the world. We all have that interest in peaceful resolution of disputes. Too often, countries, governments that run into economic problems try to distract attention by stirring up problems with their neighbors, or inventing conflict where there doesn't really have to be any conflict. But that's not in anybody's interest. Their peoples or our peoples or the other peoples. We all have an interest in seeing that international and domestic disputes are resolved peacefully at the ballot box rather than violently through war.
Taiwanese elections this Saturday are going to be closely monitored by many observers around the world, and the results will define the future relations between the island and the US and, of course, China. From Global Arena, I am Umar Isa Dandago. This explainer was written and presented by Umar Isa Dandago. The script editor is Zulfa Abdulaziz, a final year mass communication student at BAYERO University, KANO. The sound engineer is Abdul Rashid Hussain, our South African friend. Our special gratitude with a great deal of enormity goes to Hawa Halliru Abubakar for her assistance. On behalf of the producer and the team members, I say goodbye and see you very soon.